Hello and welcome to the Dallas Sports Videocast. I'm Troy Kirby along with Eric Edelstein. Eric, you are the EVP of the Reno Aces. Now tell me about the Reno Aces. How did they come to fruition, and really how have they developed sort of a niche here in Reno?
It's a really interesting story, and I've been here for about 10 months now. The team arrived prior to the 2009 season. The vision of Stuart and Jerry Katzoff and Herb Simon, all our owners here, purchased the team that was the Tucson Sidewinders, and challenged Reno to come and support a AAA team, this smallest AAA market in the country. Lots of challenges, a tough market that was really hit hard by the downturn, but really showed a belief in the community, a belief in the politics and the city and the county here to get this done. And we have a gem right in the heart of downtown Reno that really is a source of pride for this community. So it's been a great 5 years. The honeymoon is over. And so now it's exciting to sort of take us into that next phase of a franchise.
So, if Las Vegas is the bedroom, playground of LA, then this is really the, playground of San Francisco. But in this winter, it closes off. But in the summer, it opens up. Do you get a lot of pull from that, of people willing to drive the 2 to 3 hours to come out here for a weekend? And
we do see a lot. Reno's a heavy events town. So we've got great events all through the summer. We've got a 2-week-long, world-renowned rodeo, hot August night, street vibrations, different events that are happening downtown all the time. I've said that the tourist draw in our community helps the Reno Aces play bigger than our community really is. The millions of people that come in absolutely do lend themselves to coming out to a game. I think we're constantly working on how do we capture that tourist audience that's coming in. But it's an absolute draw. It's a beautiful place in the summertime. The weather is spectacular. Best weather anywhere I've had the opportunity to live. And yes, the tourist market absolutely helps a lot.
Because Donner Pass really closes off that side of California, does that actually mean that people come out of their kind of shells because now they've got winter's over and now I want to go outside and experience baseball? Does that help a little bit?
I think it does. I think there's a number of things that help. First of all, a lot of our comparison, the mindset comparison, is the Bay Area. And so the idea that, if you live in the Bay Area, you can probably have a weekend vacation to Reno, come to a couple of Aces games, go enjoy some of the amenities, and do all of it for less than the cost of going to a Giants game. And so the opportunity to do so much more with your money by coming over to Reno is tremendous. And we do particularly see a draw when Sacramento and Fresno come into town, the A's and Giants franchises. Those are the major league fan bases of this community. So our hotel partners all tell us that they know when Sacramento is in town, because of the people who come over just to get away and see their team somewhere else.
So when you have this ballpark, usually ballparks kind of be put off to the side. This was one of those new amenity ballparks that becomes an anchor tenant for the downtown district. Has it helped change the nightlife? Because that was one of the things that Reno struggled with when Indian casinos came available, is how do we attract people beyond just a few little gaming?
Yeah, I think it all comes into the event. It's that event idea, and we have gone from, it's not just come to Reno to gamble, because gambling is now everywhere, but it's the events that come here. We have a tremendous concert culture here, lots of bands that come through on a regular basis, and it's those events that draw people in. And while I've never seen minor league baseball as the sole draw to get a tourist to a community, I absolutely think it's a feather in the cap of the community when people are looking at where do I go for the weekend. We also see a tremendous draw. If you look south, north, and east of Reno, there isn't a whole lot for a long period of time. So we do draw very well from Elko, Winnemucca, Susanville, Carson, and south that view Reno as their city that they come to. So we cut a wider market, I think, than a lot of minor league teams.
You only have about 250,000 people in this market. How do you go after groups, and what do you do that's a little different? Because it can't just be reliant on the individual season ticket or the individual ticket holder.
Like a lot of minor league teams, the groups and mini plans is really the growth area. Full season tickets is always going to be a challenge, especially with the commitment. And like you said, it's to have a season ticket, you need to have a good usage base in a small area, and we're not blessed with that. We have to go wider. So we attack it, I think, the same way that a lot of teams do, but we just try to get a little more aggressive with how far out we go. I would typically say, 30-mile radius for your ticket plan, 60-mile radius for your group events. I think we go further than that here. We can go 90, 120, 180 miles in who we're talking to. We also take the approach that group events are people coming together to do what they do in their free time, and we're just trying to get them to do it here. So if your free time is spent at a book club, we want to bring your book club down. If your free time is spent with karate, we want you to bring your karate group down. Going beyond baseball, we've really done a good job reaching into the soccer community here, which we hadn't seen as much in the past. And so reaching out to those other sports, and we've actually heard appreciation from those groups saying, this is great, we haven't been called before. It all comes back to our ticket sales culture, which we've really rebuilt. We had suffered a number of losses in the staff. We rebuilt. We really put a lot of structure into our ticket sales. Have really taken the Mandalay ticket sales type of approach as far as we can take it in a market of our size, which is just a strong results-centered selling approach with strong ethic, long hours, ear to the phone all the time. And those efforts are going to pay off.
So when you're coming into a market, great, you've got the title, you're an executive vice president, you're a COO, you've got all this stuff, but how do you understand a market a little better before you even step foot in it, as well as the front office culture? Because you've almost got to start from day one. They don't really give you any slack time.
No, it's I think I did as much research as I could before I got here to understand the market, the community, the economy, what's driving Reno, what's holding Reno back, how the markets, it's interesting with Reno, Sparks, Carson City, it's really northern Nevada. Yet there are definitely parochial boundaries that, some people really hold tight to. We try to break those down, and this team is your team. I think coming in, the best thing that happened is coming in the middle of a season. Things are happening, and so I didn't have an opportunity to really have much input early on. I just was able to watch, and I took a lot of notes. But the number one way you learn anything is just to talk to the people. Talk to the fans, talk to the front office folks, hear what they like, hear what they don't like, hear what's gotten better, hear what's gotten worse. And I try to come in with no preconceived notions. I've always said, the older I get, the dumber I get. You know everything when you're 22. But the more you go, you realize, okay, I don't know this market, I don't know this community, so I'm just going to try to absorb it all.
So when you are coming into a community, how do you better understand it from the aspect of, look, we've got to now sell this market, we've got to go forward? Is it something to where you really have to get engaged with community members? What do you end up doing?
Absolutely. Some of the first things I did when I got to town was connect with, our three kind of best ambassadors of the Reno Tahoe areas, the RSCVA, the Convention Visitors Authority, the Chamber of Commerce, and EDAWN, which is the Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada. So I went and met with the leaders of those three organizations right away to understand what they see as important in the community, what they're hearing, and, frankly, tell me about us. And how you see us and where we're good and where we can improve. I met with the mayors of Reno and Sparks, set meetings with city council members here in Reno, county commissioners. Basically, my approach has been to find the people who know the most people, get to them first, and sort of interview and assess and build relationships that way.
Do people have a misunderstanding of your job, that you're going to be sitting in an office instead of going out and selling continuously?
I think so. I think all of sports, you've got the best job in the world. You watch baseball for a living, and that is part of what we do for a living. But I think there are some misconceptions. I got into this business because I love baseball. I really, really do love the game of baseball. But once I got into it, I realized my love of baseball is not going to propel me very far.
No kidding.
Right. So it's the love. It turned into the love of the business, the love of the atmosphere, the love of the entertainment, the love of the experience. And how do you continue to build your experience in the ballpark and then translate that into ticket and sponsorship programs that engage the community and bring you out? At some point along the way, I realized that, a lot of the way you get is to give. And so the more that, clubs I've been with the more we've given to the community, the more we've given of ourselves, the more that we've opened the facility up for nonprofit events and really engaged in what's important in the community, the more the community has been very excited about coming back and supporting. So I see us as a community asset. And I've said it before, the ballpark should be the community center. Whether you love baseball or not, we should have enough events and things happening at this ballpark with where your friends are going to be and where the people you care about will be, that it's a place that you love, you'll feel comfortable when you show up.
So this ballpark opened at the worst time possible. Mm-hmm. I mean, they'll even admit that. The economy crashed, mm-hmm. Everyone's broke or everyone's hiding money. How did you guys survive collectively? I mean, from what you understand the history, and as much as people say that, it's baseball, everyone will come out, that's not how necessarily true.
No, absolutely not. I've said before that, these beautiful ballparks were not built on diehard baseball fans. Diehard baseball fans were watching minor league games in horrible, dingy, old places, and they weren't filling them up. These new ballparks brought out families, they brought out friends, they brought out groups, they made it an engaging, exciting environment. If we relied solely on baseball, we'd be dead. So the timing was tough. The team was very successful in those early years. I think it might have played in, affordable, family-friendly entertainment does have an opportunity to do well in poor economies because people are looking to stretch their dollar. I think that's certainly part of what happened. We built a beautiful facility, and no matter what the economic situation is, people want to go do fun things in great places, and I think we built that.
So when you're coming into this environment, you also have workers that have been here long term. They've relocated their families, etc. How do you ensure that they have a certain amount of leeway before you start going, well, it's not really going to work out here?
Well, I think I go in with everybody with the belief that we've got the right people to start with, and then I start with a lot of questions. And nothing, no knee-jerk reactions. Assess and discuss, and really, I find that most people, if you're committed and invested to the overall success of the team, you'll make it anywhere. The folks who will struggle are the ones who are insular, focused on themselves, focused on their areas, disinterested in the greater company, are the ones that struggle. But it's just a question and answer, situation that happens over time. And they have to do the same thing with me to determine whether or not they like what I'm doing. And, some people work out and some people don't. I think it's important to recognize that not everybody works in every situation. Doesn't make anybody bad at anything. It just depends on personality.
How do you handle the comment, well, this is the way we've always done things here?
I hit that pretty directly. I don't allow that comment to be certainly not a rationale for anything. And so if someone says, well, this is what we've done, I will immediately rebut with, but is that the right way to do it? And that usually keeps the conversation going. This is what we've always done is it's throwing a wall up, it's ending a discussion, it's blocking any progress. And, I have said before that, they'll saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sometimes if it hasn't broken in too long, sometimes we should break it. just to make sure that it wasn't broke. You can fade into oblivion by not constantly evaluating what you're doing and is it the right thing. And something that was the right thing 2 or 3 years ago may not be the right thing now. So I'm one to question everything and challenge everybody on staff to continue to question everything.
Can we fire too quickly in this business, or can we keep somebody too long?
I think yes and yes. I think you can fire too quickly, and I definitely have experienced keeping too long, everybody just has to handle it a little bit differently. We did make some decisions here about some people. Some people made their own decisions. So some of those decisions got made before me arriving. Some got made after. There's a natural attrition that I think happens in the industry. You got to have a lot of energy to do this for a long time. If someone who was great for 5 years can start to fade when other priorities come in and they're not enjoying it as much. So I think it's a constant evaluation. I think it's important to address or to assess each position and understand that a ticket sales representative, that's not a 15-year position. We should put a timeline on it and be comfortable with saying after whatever time we determine is right, maybe it's time for us to help you move to another position, because you're not growing in the way that you're going to move up in this organization. Rather than keeping you in a spot that you become disgruntled, become a drag on morale and culture, let's see if we can help you, get to the next spot. And I want us to celebrate the people who also have moved on as well. I think that's as important as anything, that we should be proud of the fact that we have graduates of ours that work for the Cubs, the Mariners, the Diamondbacks. People who've worked here have moved on to do great things. That should be a source of pride for all of us.
So do you have progression kind of charts for each employee to go, look, this is just kind of where I want you to go and this is where I see it going? Because sometimes when we get in the evaluation process, we just go, here's what you're doing wrong.
We didn't have a tremendous performance management culture, and so that's something that I'm instilling right now, and so that's sort of the next step. We started with really creating accountabilities and metrics for success, which hadn't been done before. It's very easy to do in sales. There's a number, but at the same time, sometimes a lucky sales rep can luck into a great year, and sometimes your best sales rep can just have stuff go wrong. So what I've tried to break down everybody's job based on process. And there is an expected result that's important, but I believe that if you follow this process on a regular basis and do your work diligently, the outcome will come. If all we talk about is the result, then we're not addressing how to get better within the process to get to the result. But we do talk about people. We had a young person in this office that had an opportunity to go elsewhere, and we didn't want to lose that person. Brought her in, said this is what we'd like to do, to offer, and I said flat out, I don't expect you to do this role for more than another couple of years, and after that, you're either going to blow the doors off of this place and move your way up, or there's going to be a big league team that's going to want you, and we're going to be happy to help you move into that spot. So it's a little more individual now, but I think we'll build to it.
Okay, so then when you're looking at the overall culture of the marketing plans and the sales plans that you've done in the past, how do you destroy them, add new things without having everyone go, whoa, this is way too much stuff at once? I mean, how do you make sure everyone's engaged?
I think by doing just that, by engaging everybody, and our marketing meeting, so to speak, started with a lot of people in the room in September and October, a full conference table of people with input. And as we went on, we were able to say, okay, your area now, we've received all the input. We sort of know where we're gonna head, and we're gonna move off. And then slowly we actually whittle it down to those responsible for making it all happen. Something we started doing, I started with my last club a year ago, and we did it, we're doing it again here, is having full staff meetings where each department, we're doing 2 or 3 departments or 2 or 3 areas of discipline a time will present. So for instance, this past week, Brett McGinnis, our director of marketing, presented our more than a marketing plan. We are calling it our external communications plan. How are we going to talk to the community? Here's our PR efforts, here's our media efforts, here's our planned marketing. This is the message. This is why. We brought in data, research about who our fans are, and just gave everybody the background so they could understand that when they see our ad, if they go, well, I don't like that, maybe that's personal preference, but they can understand that we did it because of data we brought in.
How do you break the mentality of giving away free tickets? Because once everyone starts having economic troubles, everyone decides that the reason that people aren't out is they haven't experienced the product. And this is where the flood of free tickets comes in, to where it basically is a zero-sum game, in my opinion.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. When I arrived in the club in Wichita, we had our buyout nights, which were just flood the market on a Monday and see what happens. And the old adage that, a free ticket will still buy hot dogs and drinks is absolutely false. A free ticket typically buys nothing. And so our per caps, dropped to 30% of our average on those buyout nights. We had to have more security because there were more unruly people that typically wouldn't be a part of your experience.
So you were letting in the wrong people.
Yes, it was not right. We have taken the approach, and will continue to take the approach of sort of segmenting into A, B, and C tier games. We're not going to give away or discount a thing really Thursday through Sunday, other than a group discount or something like that. We do have better and worse days. And then, basically look at those C games as games where we can experiment, test. We have taken a section of our seats in right field that are typically the last to sell. We've downgraded a little of the pricing. We've added a lot of elasticity in what we can do with those seats. And so we're going to use those to sort of test market different price points without giving away the farm on our best placements. I also think pockets of exclusivity, it's okay, I believe, to sample in certain areas as long as you really maintain the price integrity at the various levels, as best you can. But giving away on a Tuesday in April some seats down the right field line for that sampling purpose, for the community really, is okay, but never on a big night.
Is pricing really all it takes to get people out? Because I'm always fascinated by the idea that people don't know what baseball is. People know what baseball is, right? I mean, is that really what the problem is, or is it more the idea of they don't understand because they haven't been sold on it?
A couple of things there. I think, first of all, the experience is misunderstood. If you haven't been, you don't know. There's plenty of people who don't like baseball, but the experience is tremendous, and so they want to be a part of it. So I think with a new, also I think minor league baseball, you say minor league baseball, well, depending on your personal experience, if you grew up in Pittsfield, Massachusetts in the 90s, you have a very different idea of what minor league baseball is than if you are from Sacramento or Reno, or even in our state. Compare the experience at the 51s, who have an older stadium in a tougher part of town, versus the Aces. The experience that you immediately come to your mind is completely different. So there is something to be said, I think, about getting people into this experience and understanding that this isn't necessarily the minor league baseball that you know from somewhere else. And especially if it's been 10, 15 years since you've been to a game, it's a completely different world.
Oh, definitely. Now, you look at the premium options that are here 20 years ago that didn't exist in minor league baseball. Has that kind of helped change the ball game in terms of revenue, as well as the fact of people actually deciding to come out? Because there are those suites options, and behind home plate are nice big padded seats compared to where they weren't before.
Absolutely. It allows us to sell to a higher end client who's looking for a more premium experience. Not that any of our seats are poor by any stretch, but that private space. Similar to season tickets, I think suite leases have gone the way of full season tickets, where we're selling more partial leases. Our nightly business has been a year-over-year grower for the Aces. Had our best year last year. So there is an absolute demand for the experience. The mix of how you fill it is changing a little bit. And even, we've talked long term about what we do. We've got 20-person suites. And that's changing. We're seeing more theater boxes, shared club spaces. I think down the road, you're going to see spaces like that become a little more shared. Because again, the per ticket price isn't the issue. It's buying 20 of them at a time over a period of time where the check starts to get really big.
Does that also go into like more loge seating that we're going to start seeing in these types of options?
I think so. I think it's the four tops that you've seen that have showed up more. People want a premium experience, but they don't need. Basically, the value equation has changed. I'm willing to give up a little bit of privacy for a little bit better price point and a little more value in what I'm getting, and that's okay if I'm in the same room as 50 other people I don't know, as long as I'm getting my premium experience for my guests.
Has that also changed how corporate sales activation used to be? Because part of it used to be a suite-driven mentality of, look, I'll put you in the suite, you'll be able to activate with some of your other clients, and this will help you really achieve that kind of stuff that you really needed. Is that really a part of it anymore?
I still think it is. In fact, what I would say is that with the proliferation of social media, and we're always on our phones, and I think the in-person relationships have taken a hit over the last 10 years. And so I do think that we still see a lot of our suite holder clients utilizing it to entertain their clients, to build those relationships. We have a financial services provider that specifically uses it to bring their high net worth individuals to further their relationships with them. So I do believe, they say business gets done on the golf course. I do believe a lot of business gets done in the suite level. And again, it's an opportunity to really get with people individually.
Okay, so how have sales changed? More on the side of, you have people that are going out and making phone calls, you have people doing face-to-face, but does that role change over the last 10 years from where it has been?
I think it's actually, it's been a re-engagement in a classic sales culture that I think has brought success. I think, I'm a Mandalay disciple. I've never worked for Mandalay, but I have tremendous respect for what they did. And what they did was come into this industry and say, with some ethic and some training and some intensity, we can completely change how this industry is approached. And so I think getting out and meeting again, especially coming into this last 10 years, the biggest difference I've seen in my 15 years is the addition of the digital along with. But a good direct mail piece still does move the needle. A good salesperson who can build relationships absolutely moves the needle. Looking at the digital side, email newsletters, the different social channels, all as I look at them as amplifiers of the core message, which is everything is about call us, talk to us. If we can get you engaged in a conversation, we have an opportunity to show you what you need to see here. Sending a direct mail piece and expecting checks to roll in is just never going to be a good way to go.
Do you like getting new salespeople or people with sales skills already to be able to train to kind of have into those roles?
What I like is I like to see previous ethic, previous drive from a previous position. Sports experience is great. If you've done a full season internship with a minor league baseball team, you already know what the 8th day of the 8-day homestand feels like. And what I found is a lot of the folks who haven't made it around me have been the ones whose first experience of that is with our organization. So I do really value previous sports experience and understanding of what a 16-hour day feels like, doing it over and over again. But I feel like we've been able to have success with both both types of person. The younger ones take a little bit more. The younger ones are happier to just dial, but it takes them a lot longer to get comfortable and start to really produce. Conversely, the more seasoned ones, I feel like we've seen a little bit of struggle of how much they will dial. They're very good when they're talking, but will they really drive? And so it's about, I think I look at it as energy and enthusiasm and excitement for what we're doing will take you further than any knowledge base that you bring to it.
We've seen the flourish of sport management degrees. Does that really help? Does that really entice you to want to hire people like that, or does it still come down to the internship?
I still look for experience. I will say I think it's important that you complete your degree because that demonstrates a commitment to finishing something. But I can't say that I can't recall any time where I've made a hiring decision based solely on the degree. It almost always has come down to, again, the person, the actual energy and enthusiasm they can convey, as well as their internship experience.
So what are some of the things you look for when somebody is interviewing with you? What are some of the things that, if they say, that really are no-nos, and what are some of the things that, wow, okay, I got to hire this person?
Probably one of the absolute just deal killers is I hear everybody has to start in sales if they want to work in sports. I can't say I've ever hired anyone who said that to me, and we hear it through every single interview cycle. Someone says that. Why would a team be interested in hiring you if this job is a means to an end? It should be a means to growth. That's absolutely a deal killer for me. The things that really strike me is those who are truly relationship driven, who really do enjoy, you can tell they enjoy talking to you. I do almost all of our first interviews are Skypes anymore. I think it's really important to see, first of all, what do they wear to a Skype interview? How do they communicate? Are they able to be enthusiastic? Or are they more monotone? And then, as much as anything, I want to hear about the questions they have for us. I want to see, do they ask us about our culture? Do they ask us about success stories? Can you tell me any success stories about people who've had this job before? Always inquisitive about maybe why there is an opening. When they ask questions that relate to the greater good of the business, that's what I'm looking for. That selfless attitude. If the first questions are about, how many days off do I get, and what's your health benefits look like, we'll get to that in due time. That's sort of my overriding thoughts on how we like to interview.
Does that become a deal killer when people initially ask how much they're going to get paid? I mean, they're worried more about that than the actual, sales or what they're going to be doing?
It's okay with me if it's in the context of a number of questions. If it's the first question out, though, that just can't be it. I mean, we're all big boys and girls. We all know that if the money at the end doesn't work right for either side, that there's no deal. But to me, that's a given, so that shouldn't be the first, second, or third thing that you ask about.
So when you go back 15 years ago, can you relate some of those experiences when you're trying to first get into this industry to now when you're trying to hire?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a number of things that I've probably uttered that I'm so glad that no one really important heard me say them. I can remember at one point early on saying, making the mistake of, I don't really want to sell, but, if that's what I have to do. And recognizing, that if a general manager had heard me say that could have really killed my opportunity. Beyond the fact that I actually find that to be one of the most exciting and fun parts of what we do now. Like you said, I learned to love it.
It's addictive.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, and you have to have a genuine interest in the person across the table from you to be able to be successful at it. And that's the most exciting part for me about a new community, is those new relationships and how can I sell myself on what our product is, and are they engaged in what we have, and ultimately, how can we be creative with what we do?
So when you're looking at your career, where did you start out, and kind of where did it progress to become where you are now?
I worked for, I did a high school internship for the Cleveland Indians, and I've said that, everything started with that. My last month of high school, I worked in the PR department for the Cleveland Indians. Relationship I made there, I worked there all 4 years of college. Curtis Stanberg, who still works there today in media relations, said...
So he's to blame.
Yes, he made this all happen. Curtis said, I know some folks at the Buffalo Bisons. I did my internship there out of college. If you're interested in that, for an experience, I can make a call for you. And so he did, and that call, on the strength of that call, they gave me a polo shirt and allowed me to walk in the door, and that was about it. But I went and did a 3-month internship with the Bisons summer of 2000. They hired me coming out of that internship. I'd actually accepted a job to go work for a minor league hockey team back in Cleveland. And when I came back to let them know I was leaving, they actually offered me something that I ended up wanting to take a little bit more. And so I took that opportunity. A lot of it's been very fortunate. I put my head down, I've worked hard, but after 2 years in Buffalo, the general manager job in Jamestown came open, same ownership group. They gave me an opportunity at 24 to go to Jamestown and run a, very small, short season minor league team. A year later, their third team in Wichita, Kansas, lost their general manager, and depending on who you ask, a number of people were asked before me to go, and no one was really interested in it. And boss said, I don't have a whole lot of options. If you're interested, I'll give you the support you need and give you a shot at it. And so I took the opportunity in Wichita. That franchise moved. Again, ownership gave me the chance to go start that franchise, help be a part of building that stadium and that team. Did that for 6.5 years. And this opportunity came up, and was ready for it. I was ready for a challenge. I was ready for something new and different, and to get out of my comfort zone and just continuing to try to find ways to grow.
Does that really matter, though? Too many people seem to focus on how many people step back rather than the one that stepped forward in terms of the Wichita job.
As far as it was a challenging opportunity because it was there was a history of a downtrend that wasn't getting reversed. And so I do think there are a number of people who were afraid it was a place to go die, so to speak, in the industry. I looked at it as, at the age I was at, as if I have a catastrophic failure, I'm still young and I'll start over somewhere else. I wasn't too concerned about it. But come to find out that by organizing and putting a plan together and getting a team of people who really want to run forward, you can make things go. And we had good success in Wichita. Just wasn't enough to move past the political realities of the town and the fact they just were not going to keep that stadium up to current standards.
So how did you gain more of a marketing acumen? You were, general manager, and a lot of people think that's Billy Bean and switching lineups.
Right.
It's really about marketing and sales. How did you really gain more of the promotion side of it?
Just doing it. Being a general manager at the smaller levels, Jamestown had a 3-person front office. Wichita, when I arrived, we were between 8 and 10. So as the general manager, you were still at times writing press releases, updating the website, negotiating marketing agreements, with the different outliers. At first it was just a lot of repeating what had been done and watching it. And then I've just tried to be a student all the time, constantly learning, talking to people who are in the industry, understanding the trends, understanding our market. I feel like I've gotten better at it over the course of time, but just dove in and made it something that was important to me. So
this is really where you're going to talk about some of the 2 promotions that you've got over the last few years. The bobblehead, though, has become the silver bullet of any attendance, but can that actually be something that actually costs teams because they way too focus on every bobblehead night rather than the other nights?
I think my vision of what giveaway nights have become it's very similar to what fireworks are. I equate it to if you watch Wheel of Fortune, and you get to the final anymore, they don't let you pick. It's RSTLNE. Everybody gets that off the bat. I think that's what fireworks have become in our industry. If you ask someone, hey, what's your best promotion? And they say fireworks, you're not interested in continuing that conversation because that's so automatic, it's not even worth discussing. I do think giveaways are trending in that same light, which is, would our Saturdays be totally different if we didn't give items away? I don't think so. I don't know that I'm going to put our budget on the line to test the theory, but it does become an added value. And so we look at our promotions in two ways. There's traffic driving, and then there's experience and added value. The fireworks are absolutely traffic driving. They bring people to the ballpark. It's more than added value. I think that the bobblehead giveaway is probably in the middle. You give plenty away where they go, oh, what's this? They were just coming because it was Saturday. You do get the line, though, outside the gate, which absolutely is there for the bobblehead. So when I look at that, I think it is important to give away engaging, fun items. They do get you some press. They do drive some traffic. But ultimately, they are the experience reminders that you get to take home with you and say, I had a great time at the ballpark. And you hope they sit on someone's desk and they see it and reminds them to keep coming back.
So what is this bobblehead of, and why is that important?
These two items, this actually wasn't a premium giveaway, but this was more for some of our top-end clients, was a replica of the championship ring from the 2012. And then this was actually fun because this is Brett Butler holding both the Pacific Coast League and the National Championship trophy from 2012. But for the first 4 years of the Aces' existence, Brett refused to allow us to do a bobblehead of him. And in his playing days, he was, I guess, renowned for being a little bit about himself. And so as a manager, he wanted to go the other direction and say, it's not about me, it's about the players. And so it took some convincing for Butler to do it. And so after years of people clamoring, you got a 17-year big leaguer as your manager, how have you not done a bobblehead of him? We were able to do it. And so it did get great press and great excitement in the community. And so it was a fun added value for our fans and again, just help tell our story.
So where are you looking for promotions and even attendance in the future here this next year, 2014, for the Reno Aces?
We're definitely taking the approach that we're going to focus on our best nights, and we're going to make sure that they're filled. So rather than saying, well, Friday night's going to draw 6,500 and we're going to be good with that, we're going to say, let's make that Friday night draw 9. And we won't put as many efforts in our early week games. We'll drive those more with pricing and value and, Thirsty Thursdays and dollar hot dog nights and items like that. And then really focus on making the biggest nights bigger. And that's all done through careful discussion with our ticket reps, making sure that that's what they're talking about first, that the group events are sold on those biggest nights. And when you come out and the place is full, your experience is a whole lot better. And so if we averaged, 5,000 people a game, I wouldn't want every game to be 5,000 people. You want as many 9s as you can get, and you'll accept the 2s and 3s on those slower nights. So that's our entire focus is around, again, putting the best promotions on the best nights and driving those to the top, which is not sitting here saying that that's something unique or something new that we've come up with here. It's again kind of borrowing from the Mandalay concept of make your biggest nights bigger and don't stress so much about about those bottom tier games.
Well, Eric, thank you very much for coming on the Videocast. I'm Troy Kirby with the Dow Sports Videocast. This has been really an episode that's been enlightening with the Reno Aces EVP and CEO. That's Eric Edelstein.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.